Okay, let's get started. Thank you very much and welcome to our premiere and the final showcase of P2G. And you're joining us celebrating our grand journey in Himalaya for the last 4 years. And good afternoon and namaste. My name is Kiri. I am the troublemaker behind all this trouble in P2G. And we will be so before we start, there will be no fire alarm drill planned for the day. So if there's a fire, please stay calm and follow us through this exit or that exit, and we will meet in front of the building. And toilets are outside this way, and also upstairs or this way too. So we will begin with a world premiere of our short documentary called Plastic on the Way Home, and followed by our soft launch of the P2G Knowledge Suite, and the panel discussion, and finally the auction of the products that our entrepreneurs has created. P2G began with a simple question: How can we enable the local Himalayan community to turn seemingly an impossible problem into their own solution? Today, we're going to celebrate how we found the answer. In the documentary, this documentary called Plastic on the Way Home is a sneak peek into our 4-year journey in Himalaya, and how we're going to show how our local empowerment made it possible. Zain, our talented filmmaker, sent us the final version only this morning. And we are truly honored to share this incredible moment of our dreams coming true for the first time with you today. And my voice is a bit croaky today. It's because I slightly overused by re-recording the final version of the voiceover of the documentary 2 nights ago. So I'll have to keep my voice speaking a little minimal. But good news is that the film and the products and the panelists will be far more powerful than my words. So please enjoy the premiere. When I first arrived in Nepal, I wasn't just struck by the beauty. I was moved by the philosophy. Here, the people live by the beautiful ancient truth that life is a circle, that every ending is simply a preparation for a new beginning. Even in the places rooted in nature, the modern world has arrived in the form of convenience, plastic. But without a way to return it to the cycle. The cycle was broken. Up in the Himalaya, there is no practical way to bring back plastic waste down the mountains, other than by people or by yaks and donkeys. No infrastructure, no incentive. In such rugged terrain, a centralized recycling system would simply be impossible. Hence, burning plastic in the open air or dumping it down slopes has become the norm. To help solve this problem, my problem was simple in spirit, though not in execution. To help people help themselves. At the lap of the Ganeshima range lies Ri, a village of 115 homes where life is lived at the edge of the clouds. Here, a startup called Paramendo, one of the 3 P2G ventures, recognized that plastic waste is not a pollutant anymore, but the resource waiting for a second life. Working with the Paramendo, which runs one of the 5 P2G plastic hubs across Nepal, we experimented applying circular economy theory into practice in one of the world's most challenging environments. They gathered it, sorted it, cleaned it, and pressed them into versatile balls they could use to make their homes better. Circular economy became more than just an abstract idea. It became real. P2G breathed in a second life into their plastic. We didn't only clean up the mountains, we helped them building a self-sustaining local circular business within the local community. Hence, that used to farm these hills for generations began crafting a new opportunity with what was once a problem. Now, we stopped being part of the problem but became part of the solution. I will always remember that proud moment when we made our first products right there in the village. That was my dreams come true. Even in the remotest corners of the earth, we could empower people to close the broken circle. In the middle of Kathmandu stands another P2G startup founded by 2 passionate visionaries determined to change their country. The plastic problem was so severe in Nepal that they found themselves complaining about it every day. One day, a friend challenges them, "Why don't you clean it yourselves?" Hence, the beginning of Clean It Upcyclers.
Follow me, guys. I'll show you some of our work, recycling work. So in here we have used plastic lumbers, plastic seats. Those are recycled and made into partition in our work facility. You can use recycled plastic waste as a housing material. Other products as well. We have made chairs, meeting tables. This is one of our product that can be used in housing materials. This is interlocking tiles that can be used in the yard, your driveway, your garden, and all these are made from waste plastics that were thrown in the street, that were thrown in the rivers. Just imagine, without us, all of this would be in some landfill. As you can see, this is very strong. You can jump over it, you can sit over it. It's very strong.
At Clean It Upcyclers, we really believe in the impact that we leave on our society, on our country, on our community. And with this project that we have been collaborating with the government, not only has the concept of recycling been introduced and made people aware, also 20 female workers have been given job for 15 years. And we really appreciate that we are being acknowledged by the government, as it is very rare, to be honest. Like when it comes to waste management, we are usually overlooked. The waste management sector is usually overlooked, but this project shows that when government shows interest, we can make a real impact, and we are very thankful for it.
It's hard to believe that the journey that began with a roti maker in a small kitchen could ever reach the top of the world. But that's exactly what happened. What started as a messy trial and error experiment, nurtured by plastic to gar, has grown into a story that now covers the trekking route to Mount Everest. Their legacy isn't just in the business though, but in the places their products now stand. You can find their early rugged prototypes tucked away in the neighborhood gardens, still sturdy and still in use today. You can find them in Pashupatinath, the most sacred temple in Nepal, offering a place of rest for families witnessing the deep spiritual cycles of birth and rebirth. They became the silent witnesses to the most profound moments, where we celebrate the eternal cycle of life and plastic. These benches serve as a reminder, in the right hands, with the right knowledge, everything can begin again. I spent weeks and months in Nepal, watching a transformation that wasn't supposed to be possible in a village hidden in the folds of Himalaya. We now know that isolation is not an excuse for standing still. We brought the knowledge and process, but it was the people here who brought the change. P2G empowered the local people to create changes themselves. We have the proof now. It's in the grit of those first rough and stubborn benches, and it's there, thousands of meters above sea level. My name is Kiri. I came to Nepal to lead Project P2G, Plastic to Ghar. Ghar means home or house in Nepali. Our mission was to catalyze localized plastic upcycling systems. It had to be by the locals, for the locals, using local waste. We began by creating a safe and welcoming space in Kathmandu, a place where people could come and experiment freely. We brought people together. Villagers and students traveled hours and hours through forests and valleys. We applied an innovation process from Cambridge, which generated product ideas side by side. We delivered tailor-made training and coaching. And over the years, we installed small-scale appropriate machines that people could truly own and operate. I call it circular empowerment platform. If this can flourish in the heart of Himalaya, then it can flourish anywhere, no matter how tough the environment. The P2G project is now coming to an end. However, unending is only the beginning of yet another cycle. I hope you enjoyed it. Now it's time to move on a little bit from the story, but we can introduce a bit of technicality behind this journey. And I'd like to introduce the P2G Knowledge Suite. We are launching this today, like freshly printed out today, and it's our attempt to gather everything we learned from process, from the tool, and the insights, as well as the dreams and the mistakes. And if you spot any more mistakes in these documents, Yes, it's all also me. So please come and tell me gently. A little bit of background, but you've seen. Okay. Yes. This is, P2G started one of the world's most challenging environment, Nepal. As shown in the film, in this difficult terrain, localization is not an option, it's a necessity. We just have to travel. We cannot just ask them to bring it down all the way from the mountain. So we begin by inviting, so that, and the plastic issue is really critical. We all know it. Only 9% is being recycled, but in the mountain it's even more difficult. So this image of Guardian, the news article in 2015, has been our inspiration for our beginning of the journey. And then our process, you've seen it in the film. So if you look at this innovation protocol, you can see how we started and how we invited people, individuals, to Makeathon. We emphasize this in creating a safe and inviting space like today, so that lower the barriers and expose people to new ways of thinking. And in Makeathon participants then continue through the follow-on incubation process, so blue sky ideas can gradually evolve into commercializing real-world solutions, building local innovation capacity step by step. And over the years, 5 local ecosystems emerged, and we developed 20 products, and the 3 startups emerged, and they came up with 5 hubs, and we created more than 100 jobs, and converted more than 50 tons. And also, not only about the numbers, but what mattered most was the self-efficacy. The moment people realized they could create a solution and knowledge and truly own them. The knowledge is stored here. You can now download them by logging into the QR code, and the innovation. This protocol is designed for innovators and policymakers and the sustainable development practitioners. We wanted to share what we wish we had known before, so helping others to avoid common pitfalls in their own circular transition. So innovation protocol, this one. We captured our full journey in 113 pages, and how we engaged with the community, and how we scoped the challenge and co-created solutions, and how ecosystem began to expand. And the technical toolkit is a practice of the appropriate machines we adopted. We introduced 12 different machines we have been using, from process, how to handle it, and what to avoid. And also at the end, it has the matrix, how to select the machine that's most suitable for your environment. And this safety kit, because plastic recycling involves fume and heat and pressure, so you have to be careful. So this one tells you how to assess your environment and control the risk. So that also has a matrix at the end, so that help you to check out all the lists that you need to check. And the business incubation toolkit is now at the moment, it's being led by Impact of Kathmandu, capturing how to engage with the early stage entrepreneurs and leading them to the commercialization. And it's at the final editorial design phase by Reen, our invincible graphic designer at the moment. And when it's publicly available, and we'll share the link with you. And the innovation is technical toolkit is here. And the reflections and beyond. Last but not least, we stepped back and asked, what does this mean for other regions and for other countries, and for the future of decentralized circular empowerment platform? So firstly, let me highlight just a few there. There are 11 lessons in the innovation toolkit. And firstly, we wanted to say knowledge wasn't just transferred, it was co-created. We didn't want to parachute in Nepal and say, we're from Cambridge, we know what you need to do, and follow this. We didn't want that. Rather, we wanted to engage and support them finding the solutions together, so that they soon became the creator of the knowledge, and also they started sharing within our team. That was really touching to see what happens. And second, progress came from adaptability, not from rigid plan. Our biggest breakthroughs only happened when we allowed pivoting, and when we celebrated imperfections rather than making look like a perfect virgin product. We wanted to see, there's a story we can talk about rather than being perfect. And also when we let local orchestrators lead to create their hubs when the time was right. So pivot and see like what's happening and how to change it. That was a key in our action. And third, circular transition move at the pace of community. So respecting the local rhythms and supporting the personal growth, but not only about project success, and practicing patience, lots of patience in me. And that turned out to be the most important as much as technology itself. And finally, a proper technology wins. Simple and time-tested machines, we deliberately avoided really high-tech and sophisticated machines because it's not going to work up in the Himalaya with the villages. So that local entrepreneurs can learn how to run it easily, so they can fully own the production, and the ecosystem only worked when the government and the suppliers and the waste workers and business moved together. So that's our main ideas. And all of this and much more lessons and reflections is captured in the full protocol. In Beyond Nepal, we also talk about, so what is it, what comes afterwards? So we talk about it. And importantly, what we learned in Nepal doesn't stay in Nepal. P2G shows how to catalyze a human-centered circular transition that is practical, resilient, and deeply local. So we now propose replicating the localized circular empowerment platform, not only within the resource-constrained the countries like landlocked, least developed countries, but also in the high-income settings. Because if you it is both in the developing country or developed countries, they all have some problem with the waste not being visible. So rather being closer to you, and that we can make challenges into our solutions that will be key in anywhere when you have plastic issues. And if any of you here today wants to explore building new circular platform in your region and in your context, this is our open invitation. So please come and see us and let's build it together. Okay, so now that was our plastic. There was our P2G knowledge suite. So let's move on, go deeper into the insights with the people who live the journey. So let me introduce and welcome our panelists for the panel discussion session. So it will be chaired by Professor Steve Evans, who has welcome on board. I call Steve as my shit umbrella. So whenever difficult challenges happen, Steve, and he will I will call him or do the emails, and he will come and help us. And please welcome.
I'm hoping the pronunciation came over as sheep umbrella. Not anything else.
And also, let me introduce Dr. Claire Barlow. And she has been the former deputy head of engineering department, and she helped us with the testing our materials, whether they will withstand within the harsh environment in Himalaya. Okay, and also lastly but not least, we have Milan Bohara, all the way from Nepal. Please welcome. Milan is the one behind all this bench and the frame and the products down there. He's the CEO of Clean Up Cyclists. That he thought it was his sister's roti maker. He experimented. Of course, his sister couldn't actually use it anymore afterwards. And we have two more online. Do we have? Yeah, Zoom. Can we put it on? So we have two more panelists from Nepal. So because of the war in Middle East, they couldn't fly. So Palab here, the technical lead of Fab Lab, who's been the core technical expert who's helping all the companies with product development. And then Rahul is the CEO of Paramendo, the one in the village. So can you hear us? And it's me, the biggest troublemaker of the in Nepal. So I will be joining us, and please do. This is like a really inviting and the easy session that we want to invite you to ask questions and share your stories and yourself too. Okay.
Thank you, everyone. I'm lucky enough to have been born in a national park in mountains. So I'm going to make it a rule. If you're going to ask a question, it must contain a mountain metaphor. Because if we can't use it today, we can never use it, right? Oh, how did you get to the top of the mountain? Questions like that are to be encouraged, and you will get prizes. Right? Now, we'd like our panel, we haven't agreed a sequence yet, but the panel has been asked to offer up a minute of information and thoughts at the beginning while you're busy working out what you might want to ask. As I said, any questions that don't refer to mountains will be ignored.
Why don't you start?
Now, who wants to start?
So just general information.
Yeah, go on, let's go through it.
So I'm Milan Bohra. So I did my bachelor's in computer science in United States, but while living there, I thought of going back to Nepal and starting a business. So when I came to Nepal, the problem, when you start a business, you try to solve a problem, existing problem, and so that you do not have to create a demand and stuff like that. So while looking at Nepal, the main problem was waste everywhere. So when I was in the States, I always imagined Nepal as beautiful place because I was born there probably. So when I went back, I was so disappointed, and people found me constantly complaining about waste. So that's all I did for the first year. I traveled everywhere and I just complained. So my friend got so annoyed with me. He was like, "Why don't you clean it then? Why are you always complaining?" And hence the name Clean It Up Cyclists. So I just went to my co-founder's home. In his kitchen, there was a roti maker. So I just got this random idea of using the roti maker to melt the plastic. And we used that roti maker to make the plastic, and then we started the business. So the first thing we made was a coaster that you can see over there. So after that, it was like the plastic. We found the plastic, like once it's melted, it's like clay. So you can reshape it into anything. So for us, plastic is like clay to potter. So after that, it is this journey, and we went to P2G, and we started making decking planks and started thinking plastic as an alternative for housing material as well. So that's all.
Thank you, man.
So I'm Claire Barlow. Sorry, I'm Claire Barlow. I'm a materials person, a colleague of Curie's at the Institute for Manufacturing. For about the last 30 years, I've been working on rubbish, end-of-life materials, we can call it more politely, but better ways of making sure that we can do what is now referred to routinely as the circular economy, stopping them from being rubbish and turning them into valued products. And for the last 15 years, I've been working almost exclusively on plastics because that's what everybody is interested in. And I've been saying, there are all these wonderful technologies out there, things are going to get better. And then there's another crisis, financial crisis or pandemic or something. And all of the recycling initiatives fall into disrepair, and the governments say, we've got this green recovery program, it's going to get better, and then something else happens. Politicians are really good at excuses. And the latest crisis, of course, with oil and so plastics prices being pushed up, it's going to take a while to turn that into improvement in recycling technologies, but it is really focusing our minds on, should we be using oil for making plastics? If we haven't got oil, what are we going to do? The answer is to make less plastic, perhaps. The brilliant thing about this, there are many brilliant things about this project. I just can't praise it too highly. But all these commercial operations, in the news, I'm getting the notices coming through, every week or so. There's another plastics recycling plant closed down because it can't make money. The centralized processes, I hope eventually we will be able to get them to make money, but we do need government supports, and you know what I think about politicians now. But these projects, these local community-based projects are brilliant because it's the people who are generating the plastics here who are benefiting from being able to do something with the waste, benefiting in all sorts of different ways. And it's internally generated. It's not imposed up or down. They're generating the enthusiasm from themselves. They really want to make it work. And with all of these guide books in place, I really hope that this process can be rolled out to other communities, which, here's my mountain bit, may be at the tops of mountains, but they may also be in boggy places. I can imagine that in some of Fenland regions, here in the UK, maybe such community-based processes could be made to work because it's your problem, it's not somebody else's problem, and you can be empowered to do something about it yourself. We're all passionate about climate change and feel that we can't do anything, but here we can do something.
Thank you. I'm going to go to you, Rahul. Are you going to be ready to just explain the wonderfully named company Paramendo? You can ask later what that means. That's exciting. Rahul, are you going to be able to...
Yes.
Oh,
We can. Yes.
please
Okay.
Please go.
Hello, world. My name is Visanke. So I'm the CEO and co-founder for Paramendo Nepal. Now, before I Param, what that sounds like, right? But before I go to the word name, I would like to share you a brief, very interesting story on how Paramendo started. So, personally, I am the student of social science and humanities. So I have this really close connection with the communities. So I was seeing this problem of plastics and haphazard throwing of plastic waste all around the street. So I wanted to do something about the plastics. And so I met Curie, and I met the community people of who were trying to do something with the plastic themselves, but they had this breeze between the tech knowledge and community, community marginalized. So I became the gap, and I connected the community with technical knowledge, with Fab Lab, Curie, and all these amazing team of Cambridge where they are helping us with all amazing work. So that's why we started this company Paramindo Nepal. Now, what's Paramindo and how did it come from? So Paramindo, the word para is that means red, and mendo. So mendo, that means flower. So it's a term for red flower, which is a very famous flower that is grown in the area called rhododendron. It's also the national flower of Nepal. So the community, in the respect for the things that we're doing for the community, for the waste management, they provided us this name, and we happily accepted the name Param in the Nepal, and have been moving forward like since last 5 years for the betterment of the community. So that's my introduction. Thank you so much.
Uh, so, namaste everyone. I'm Paula Shrestha, currently working as technical lead in Impact of Kathmandu and managing Nepal, which is a technical wing inside Impact of Kathmandu. First of all, I would like to thank you all for being here, and Curie and University of Cambridge for having me as a panelist. So, with a background in mechanical engineering, I've been working in design and fabrication since I was passed out. So, I've been working in 2000 Impact of Kathmandu 2009, and I've worked in different projects regarding plastic recycling, STEM education, STEM technologies, digital safety, and collaborating with entrepreneurs to turn their ideas into reality. And I've been working here establishing first Fab Lab in Nepal, which is, like I said, a technical wing of Impact of Kathmandu, and it's in operation since 2000. So talking about P2G project, I've been since I was involved in this project from the beginning. I learned a lot from myself, from uh, different stakeholders, from different communities. So during that, I've learned like how communities or the will can transform different problems within community to get different solutions. And also during the process, whatever I had learnings and everything during my career, I've tried to use it and guide the companies convert their ideas into reality, as well as to design new products as well. So yeah, that's it. And yeah, about me, I love to make, and I think like I'm in my own zone while designing or fabricating, and I think like it's kind of meditation for me. uh, so yeah, that's about me. And yeah, uh, um, the thing about in the presentation.
Thank you, Palap.
Thank you, Palak.
I'm going to grab myself. We're going to make sure we get rid of that echo. Oh, good. I am about to murder the mountain metaphor. I'm going to push this as far as I can. If you're trying to get to the top of the mountain and there's no map, there's lots of people who can give you little bits of advice. Oh, if you want to recycle plastic, you could consider this technology. And you can get a list of technologies, and you can get information, and you can get other forms of knowledge about what might be valuable products to create. You can go to experts, like poor Letitia at the top, who's not listening, she's doing her emails, right? Yeah, you can go to experts and talk about what makes some makerspace successful in some parts of the world. You can have all of those guides available to you, but the mountain is not yet fully mapped. And yet, here we are, 4 years later, we're at the top of the mountain, and it all looks a bit easier than it actually was. Right? From the top of the mountain, you can guide people up the mountain, and the guides are written. So if you want to go on the same journey now, you don't have to go up the same dead ends and make some of the same we can't call them mistakes, can we? Right? Because that's how you learn and you go forward. And I'm really interested in any of the people speaking about those dead ends. Oh, we went up this direction and then we realized we have to come back onto a pathway. Oh, so what were the really unpredicted errors and things that you rolled back on during the 4 years? Is that enough of a mountain metaphor? It's a start. Anybody want to go and get lost on the mountain? We got lost a lot of times. Kiri, you probably got lost more than many.
I remember when we were first introduced to this project and the grant opportunity, and I was sitting in a cafe that was during the COVID period, and sitting in the cafe with Ian and Steve, and like, okay, we got this plastic project, and where should we go? Haha, there were 10 African countries and 3 Asian countries we can choose from. And like, have you been to Everest? Like, no, should we go? Yeah, let's go. That's how we started. And then we rang up our former colleague in Cambridge here at FM. And Paddy, do you have a problem in mountain? I think I've seen the news that there's something going on up in Everest. And I said, yeah, there are lots of problems. Come. That's how it started. And me being naive and like thoughtless, like we just go and just do it and that'll be fun. And for the 4 years, it's been a great ups and downs. And I think initially the project was 2-year project. The fund was 1.5 million, and it was we. Now I'm laughing at myself because okay, so we have this much money. That means that we can buy as many as 30 units of this different small units because it's not too expensive. Okay, so then we can do 30 units across the country, and then we will do, okay, so we get back calculated, like, okay, if this much products, the machines can process this much, maximum this much plastic every day. And 30, calculated means about 16.5% of waste being generated in Nepal, we can process. That's how ambitious I was. And happily, our funders, they believed in us and that we could actually do it. And that was, and it was Thomas, he came along to Nepal, and at one point he was the faithful supporter of our project from the funding agency and management side. And in the middle of the project, I was like, oh my God, we are not even near 30, but like 3 will be still difficult. We're having so much troubles, and like, what should we do? And also, Nepali context is very unique. So I don't know. We said we're going to share our lessons, capture our lessons, but whether that can be applicable to other countries, I don't know. And he was encouraging us to continue our journey and say, if only 50% of lessons will be applicable, that will be still really useful. And also, it may not be just a quantitative amount. Like, say, 50 ton is not as much as we wished, to be honest, at the beginning. We wanted to have 16% of the entire waste they generate, and they say about 500 tons of plastic is being generated in Nepal. So we are not even near there. But we could gradually capture and make sense of like what's happening, what have we done, and what does this mean, how we can do this, and other than more than just numbers. And that's how I could remain sane and then not being too disappointed about myself and our team, because they've been doing such a great job, and I know we've been doing our best. And then we came all the way, and by capturing this in a beautiful film and this document and this event today, I can say it's not a failure. We've been thinking, oh, did I fail it? Did I fail this much money? but I think we can still call it a success, and we can celebrate our journey together. That's how I came up. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else want to talk about how they got lost?
So yeah, I would like to speak about like media technical stuff, I would say. Um, I was at the first of the project itself, I was thinking about whether to make the machines here locally or have from outside. But going through the projects and also looking back, I would just recommend that think locally, what you can make it locally because it will help a lot in a big. But having said that, have at least machines which is from the good supplier and use it as a benchmark to develop it locally. So that is one key thing that we also learned during the process. And also, it's not just about putting a machine at somewhere. It's like a body without a soul. So the locals, the community also should have that ownership about using the machines, actually, uh, working, maintaining them, and ownership about that as well for them, so that they efficiency and also generate different products out of it. So that community engagement and that ownership part is very much important wherever you want to, make the recycling units or wherever you want to install it. Otherwise, it would not be sustainable at all. So that part is the major thing during that implementation of any recycling center or any makerspace or at different community engaging places that we want to install in different places. That is another like some things that we have seen.
Thank you, Pala. Oh, did I just cut across?
No, I think just it. Thank you.
Thank you, Pala. I'm looking across. I've got my own answer. I've been a small part of this project, and I did a little bit more distant observation. Hands up in the room, anybody who's been trained in sort of mountain leadership certificate or scout leadership. Trying to get a group of people to go from place A to place B safely is an interesting challenge. And if you do any reading on appropriate technology implementation, it will advise you to be very sensitive to the context of the users of that technology. And we even use Western examples. Let's make sure that we give people pumps that are able to be maintained in sensible and appropriate ways. I don't think the advice that is typically handed out explains how difficult it is to bring large groups of people on a journey together. And this is where the Cub Scout metaphor comes in. I used to be a Cub Scout leader. One of them wants to go to the toilet, one of them feels cold, one of them feels hot, one of them wants to go to the left, one of them is really interested in the plants over there. That is what we were dealing with, right? And the Cub Scout leader over there wants to go as fast as possible in that direction. Did you learn anything, Curie?
I had to learn how not to be South Korean anymore, because South Korea is about everything like quick. But we can't apply this to the Nepali context, because if I push them and give them so much stress and follow me in my pace, then that could possibly be my success, but they won't continue. So I had to leave them do it in their time and be patient and wait for them and trust them, and they can do it when they feel like they can. And that's when our project extension became really useful. And I learned that having like 3 times more time than I planned worked actually much better in the Nepali context. Yes.
Could I ask you a question? So I was being very rude about politicians. How did you get the government to buy into this so strongly?
The government, that's really good question because, sorry, it wasn't me, it was him. So that's how I see this is like it's the beautiful thing about this project was we saw, not me, I didn't really do anything rather than like creating the platform, and these local orchestrators emerged themselves. So they started to looking out the connections, and they started to chatting with the local governments, not me. But when we went to meet the government officials, and they were very happy, and they say this, but the follow through was quite difficult. But it was him and it was Rahul who met these guys, and they were engaged, and they started something really beautiful. Do you want to tell us more about it? The tongue facility.
Yeah, so you were right about being politician being a hassle in Nepal, but once you convince them, I mean, you have to, the skull is very thick, you have to like knock it very hard, but you have to like persevere, I think. So one of my first project was plastic road as well. So when we did the road, like I went to the government office for almost a month every day just to convince them. And with Dang it was quite easy because we went to talk to them and we told them the idea. It was something that they have never heard of before. So they do not have any idea what's going in the neighboring country as well, because it's being done quite intensively in India as well. So I went to talk to them and they were actually amazed and they were surprised. So it was more like a can it happen kind of curiosity that led us get the project as well. Even when the Everest project was same, so we told them that we can turn the mountain waste into benches and place it on the trail over there. So they didn't believe us at first. It took us 3 months just to sell our first bench when we started the company. So it was about making them believe that yes, it can be done. So we started the project, and how we sent the bench from Kathmandu to Everest was we did it in a helicopter. So we had to convince them, let's transport it in the helicopter as well. So once it got there, it had to be carried on the back with the very traditional way. So with the rope on your head and carried to each location where it was to be placed. So that is one of the reasons what my learning as well, that centralized waste management doesn't work anymore. So that is from that I also learned like decentralization is the way to go forward, and we started 2 more companies in different regions after that.
It's new to me too. He had to visit like three months to every day to the government.
Yes, so it was for the road project. So the very first project that I did without being involved in a company after I came back from USA to Nepal was like I wanted to build a plastic road. So I just saw it in California and I was like, this should be done in Nepal. And I met some civil engineers, government civil engineers, and I convinced them to learn it. I asked for the documentation of how the road is made with plastic waste. So I started that, and it's like everyone said, go do it. I met the ministers. At that time, there was a road minister. I forget his name, sorry. So he was like, okay, do it. But he didn't give me any paperwork, so I don't know how to convince the road department now. And I went there and I told him, okay, the minister said, yes, please let me do it. And even I was using my own money just for the piloting. But they said, okay. They said, okay, every day. I don't know. Okay was the only response I got, but I don't know what to do after that. So after 1 month, they said, okay. So I said, okay, you said me okay for the last month. Okay, now tell me what to do. And that's how we did the first project.
Should we give him a round of applause because it's so beautiful story.
you. We do have some questions. Number 1,
Michael?
2 will be here, and 3 and 4. Oh.
So Nepal is home to one of the biggest mountains in the world, and at the same time, I personally believe it houses one of the best opportunities to showcase and to create sustainable products. Now, after your experience, do you agree or disagree that it's one of the biggest opportunities in the world for Nepal? Or do you think that actually there are countries elsewhere that could do better?
No, I think Nepal has a lot of opportunities lying just about every corner. That is one of the reasons why I went back to Nepal as well to work there. So everything I do over there is new concept and new technology. Everything I take back from today, if I take back something from UK to Nepal, it's something new. So it's still unexplored, and there are a lot of opportunities going on even in waste management right now. You just have to be persistent, and you will have to find it yourself. They won't present to you yourself, but if you look for it, they are there. So yeah, it is one of the most potential places to work right now.
Yeah, can I add something here? Okay, thank you for the question. I think I should answer something for that as well. Since we work around the mountainous regions, the waste management problem in and around regions are something that not only Nepalis and not only South Asian people, but like everyone in the world should be concerned of, because mountains are all of us are like we belong to mountains, and mountains are something that we need to preserve, I believe. And since like Ben said, uh, there are a lot of things that are still unexplored and unintroduced to mountainous communities. So everything is an opportunity for us, and us working around the mountainous regions as well. So that's why everything is opportunity. Even like creating a basic waste management and collection system was a huge thing for us. So that's still an operation, and we get a lot of appreciation for just doing that. Imagine bringing on massive technologies, or community friendly technologies to actually solve and recycle and create sustainable products out of them and selling it back to the communities and other communities. That is going to be another massive opportunity for us as well. So yeah, I think it's a great opportunity.
So I have another point of view on that, meaning a different way of answering. One is, first of all, you need Nepal to explore about Nepal, how circular, how sustainable it is. Secondly, what I want to say is the community, the unexplored part of Nepal, the rural community, the sustainability part, the circularity part is ingrained in how people live their life. The way the house is built, the way, how the products are reused again and again, and how we search for different, a way of using different things, even the intended life has ended. So that is there in the rural part of Nepal. So sustainability and circularity is there ingrained in those kind of communities. But in the urban areas, it's a new word, circularity, in Nepal as well. People has been practicing it, but if we look back, it has ingrained. So how to, and also this is how it is going on in our country as well.
Thank you both. We do have a question, if the mic.
Yes, please. Thank you. Question about incoming waste on the mountain. Has the project looked back towards the creation of the waste, where the waste comes from, and the community of people who are living on the mountain, both from the bottom to the top, and circular around the mountain in terms of their engagement and self-organisation around the collection of waste once that waste is made. So I'm wondering if the project looks back up the chain.
In the the mountain regions have different schemes, but the case of Everest, there has been an NGO called Sagarmatha Pollution Control Committee. They have been active for the last 30 years, and they have installed collection bins along the trekking routes. And once the off-season started, and the youth community and the female community and the Sherpas, that's a organization by the Sherpas who's helping the tour guides and the trekking guides, and they will go along the trek and collect all the waste, and they take it down to local airport and then transport it back to Kathmandu and make something into a souvenir product, so that there are some locally generated active or collection activities are going on in some parts of Nepal, but not everywhere.
In a weird way, Everest is not that remote because so many people focus on it. In some of the villages that we're working with, you don't get a lot of passers-by. So the remoteness there's a subtlety about remoteness and also about the value. Everest waste has a certain value to people who might buy things made from Everest waste. The waste from the village of Ree might not have the same attractiveness. So there's three here.
I've got a question first.
Sorry, I missed you. Carry on.
I was involved briefly in trying to tackle the mountain of waste in Nepal in post-earthquake recovery. And we tried to use old plastic bottles and create blocks looking fairly similar to the ones that you have developed for rebuilding houses and for paving around houses. But the problem we found was the energy cost was so high that they became very expensive, and we weren't actually able to pursue it. And then COVID came along, so the project stopped. But I wondered if you've managed to make these blocks affordable and competitive with blocks made out of conventional materials, or whether the energy cost is still very high.
Yes.
Affordability, Manal, I think.
So the cost of the brick that we make is about the same as the brick in the market right now. So I think it is mainly due to of the machine, the in-house machine we made. So on the design was on the basis of precious plastic, sure, but we made it locally in Nepal, sourcing from the waste as well, even for the machine. So I think the cost, the energy cost is about, for brick is not as much as you are saying right now. So the brick itself cost us to make around 18 rupees, and we sell it around 30 rupees per brick.
And you have sufficient energy to manufacture them?
Yeah.
That was the constraint before.
Yeah, so, sorry, what was that again?
The actual availability of energy
Yes.
for
So it's
making
not
the
solar right now, it's hydroelectricity. So it's the regular electricity that's in Nepal right now.
Yeah.
Like 99% of this energy supply is from the hydropower, from the waters from the mountains.
Yeah.
And I think energy availability and cost is going to be different in different locations as well, and the technology choices in those places has to be appropriate.
Yeah, but I'm talking about the same place,
Yeah.
same locations.
Hello, everybody. Hope you can hear me. So Firstly, my name's Thomas Askew. I'm from the SMET programme, which has been funding this project, amongst others. Firstly, a very quick plug for the programme. It is a £20 million grant funding facility. It's been running since 2019. It concludes in October this year. It is funded by the British government. I'm not a government official, but we work with them. So through the Foreign Commonwealth Development Office, FCDO, formerly DFID, and it's a collaboration between them and the UN Convention on Trade and Development, UNCTAD, who help provide some of the more kind of policy and international sort of connectivity. And this maybe comes to the question about, has this project been dealing with some of the more upstream problems? You know, not really at this project level, but at the program level, our UNCTAD colleagues have been involved in the sort of global treaty on plastics and trying to prevent that internationally. It's currently stalling, but there are, you know, trying to, pressure these problems from a number of different angles. The program itself has been covering a number of different sort of waste streams, plastics being one, but also used lead acid batteries, textiles, tanneries, and then organic waste in certain supply chains in East Africa, but also in West Africa and parts of Asia too. We have a website, smepprogram.org. Please have a look on there if you'd like. There'll be a number of knowledge products as well as also impact case studies like this P2G project being published. I have a particular interest in being here today because I have, as Kiri said, I've been to Nepal, accompanied the team, you know, meeting Rahul and Pallab, and went up to Re. I mean, I don't know if this is a bad stretch of the mountain metaphor, but I mean, Nepal, if you've not been, you should go. It's an astonishing country. And, you know, the scale is really something else. You know, even the molehills are more like mountains, let alone the mountains themselves. Things get very remote very quickly. It's a very difficult operating context. And one of the really successful things that this project has done through a degree of trial and error, that's why this concessional funding has been available to allow the ability to learn as you go and be humble and understand the local context better, has been to connect serious international expertise here in Cambridge with a very, very strong local partner, the Impact Hub, which Pallab is representing here on the call today, which is a hub for local entrepreneurs, which allows Paramendo and Rahul and then Milan here as well to sort of actually go and test their ideas and then begin to knock on doors at the government level in Kathmandu, because obviously the local regulatory environment is incredibly important to try and influence, especially if you're dealing with the built environment, building materials. It cannot be a kind of cowboy market. So there's lots of complexity here, and I think you've come a long way through this process. As I said, the funding of this project ends later on this year, and something I've been challenging Curie for a long time is saying, you're learning as you go. It's great to see all these knowledge products, being published today. But I suppose the question is, what next? What are you laying the groundwork for? Trying to sort of reinvigorate that next. This cycle's closed, but what's happening for the next cycle? What do you think you need, and how are you planning on going about it? Even the next small steps. And indeed, others in the on the panel too. You may have views.
But actually, I've been got to ask this question so many times whenever people know that it's coming to an end. And my simple answer was, I'm going to disappear into thin air, so don't look for me anymore. That was maybe thin air would be in Everest, it could be in Annapurna. I think I need to rest a bit, to begin with. And the next step will be, we were talking about replicating this in other resource-constrained context countries. Like there are 44 landlocked countries in the world, and out of them, 32 countries, including Nepal, are least developed country by UN, defined by UN. And I think they share similar challenges, like having very high transportation cost and the limited access to knowledge and technology outside. So I think even although the context will be quite different each country will have very different. So it's the way, the beauty of localization of our approach. So we will go in and start engaging with the locals and then understand their own challenges and co-create the solutions with them, and then see what is most effective and most with the biggest potential to change make the system to change. That will be our next dreams to pursue. But at the same time, whenever we present our presentations, I think our project presentation we did more than 40 times around the world. But be it South Korea, be it America, be it Canada, or in Cambridge, they say, we need this in our country too. And that was quite surprising, because you have all these collections coming and you have got everything good. Really, we have a really good infrastructure. But that means like somewhere over the rainbow, somebody else is actually looking after this. We don't know what's happening to our waste. So if we can visualize it coming bring it closer and visible to the community members, and that will also empower the locals. Oh, our crisp packets can turn into this beautiful thing, and we can make it like a phone stand and stuff. That also will be really nice, so that people can think differently about their waste as a new resources, so that both global north and global south, after spending some time in thin air, I come back and I want to pursue that dream and making bigger circular transition around the world. Because when it comes to circularity, it's so easy to imagine like a very clean circle, but it's so messy all the time, and small and big, some complete, some incomplete, many circles has to come together to make a circular economy. And before I started, to be very, very honest, I was rather skeptical about circular economy. It's easier said than done. I didn't know whether I can believe in it. But now I can see we have some living proof, and we want to continue growing it.
Yeah, so from that side, I'd like to add on the local perspective as well. So working from this project, what I learned was it's one, plastic is the biggest problem, but with that, people from different communities also want solutions to different type of waste that is during the process. So that is one of the key areas that I think like other companies will also try to focus, as well as we are also trying to focus and give support to different companies in that sector as well. And others are, Everest is one part that everyone is looking, but there's a lot of other Himalayas in our area, like a lot of 8,000ers and other Himalayas as well. So right now, if you see about Manasulu also, there is waste collection that is happening from drone as well. So that has been collected to a base, and then the waste has been handed over to the community, where to the group of people where they handle the, but it has not been converted to the products. So that those are different other areas that we can focus as well. But yeah, having said that, different communities need have different priorities and different ways of working. So that all of the places or that we are going to intervene, or anyone else working on this sector, has to understand the community and implement accordingly. So those are the sectors that we can focus, talking about the local context in Nepal as well. So, because like when we focus on plastic, yeah, it is solved, but what about other waste is the main question as well. So the plastic is transformed, but the space is occupied by glasses and other waste as well. So that is also one thing that we have to focus. So to treat it as a holistic way of dealing with the waste. So yeah, locally those are the issues that we'll be working more as well, and need everyone's support in that as well. Yep.
I'd like to add on that as well. First of all, thank you. It's so good to hear you. We've been on the journey together, and he has seen really closely how we work on RE and our waste center as well. Before P2G and before this concept of circular economy, we used to, as a community in RE, we used to dump or open burn the waste, and it used to be, there in fields and water sources and everything. With the introduction of P2G and our idea, and Paramendo, the waste collection system was built, and 115 households of the RE were connected to a waste collection center. Now the waste is being collected, recycled, and sold back to the community, creating a circular economy. Now, what's next? So again, like Pallav said, we have other waste as well. But for the plastic waste, we are trying to create a market for the sustainable products and actually create revenue out of them. So that's our main challenge, and we are working to just scale the revenue collection and revenue capacity as well. Also, we are only operating now in 2 villages. We have like 2 collection systems, and we connect 2 villages only. But like there are other different villages who needs the waste collection system, and who are facing the similar problems. Now our challenge and our next step is to connect with the local government and also scale to other villages, so they can have the waste management system and recycling system as well. So that is our next step, and also try to figure out what do we do with the other kind of waste, like medical waste or papers. We are trying to recycle papers as well, or the glasses or other things as well. So that's our next step from Paramount side.
Hi. Thank you so much. Incredible project. I just wondered if out of the project, any open data set had come where you've geolocated the buildings that have recycled plastics within them, because I'm involved with a cross-country mapping project where we look at the building stock, and one of the things we're looking is to map building materials. But being able to map where where materials have been recycled is very unusual, and we're working with Pune in India as well. And it would be fascinating to use this as a case study within our network, which is all open source, open data. But I don't know whether you have the sort of geolocation of whether you have maps of the buildings that you have where the tiles and the other building products are located.
The question is whether we have a map tile where this like large amount of waste is being generated and where these will be used. Is it the question?
It's whether you have geo-referenced information on buildings in the locality that you've worked in, where we can actually map those and show that these have recycled plastics within them. But you might not have collected that data as part of the study. I mean, I can imagine that you haven't necessarily got it.
Yeah, we will follow up on that. Yes, yeah. Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Hi. So I'm Mark Jolly from Cranfield University. I'm also a material scientist, so I've got lots of questions about material science that I can talk to Claire personally afterwards, but not in public. But, I mean, it's a fascinating project. I think it would be good to know whether you've got any thoughts about transferring it to other, this mechanism, this way of working to other countries. I mean, I've been around the world a lot, as you know, and I spent a lot of time in places like the Philippines where I've seen the same sort of waste problems. I mean, quite often they'll repurpose the waste and make Christmas decorations from plastic bottles and things like that. Or they'll use them as, certainly with bottles, they'll use them quite often as molds for making concrete blocks and things, so they can then put them in houses. But they still have the problem with this plastic bag waste and noodle waste, noodle packet waste and stuff. Do you see this being translatable into places like the Philippines? And if so, how? I mean, they do have remote places in the Philippines too, because they have very poor infrastructure. It's not necessarily because of the mountains, although they obviously do have mountains, but they also have very poor infrastructure, very poor road systems, and indigenous peoples who don't want to necessarily work in the same way.
Yes, the whole idea from the outset was that we want to capture the lesson, and we will try and make mistakes and try and error. We will capture the lesson so that it can be replicable elsewhere. That was the main idea. And not only the platform itself was an interesting qualitative research item that we've been pursuing, but also in this technical toolkit, you can see how we can generate 20 different products, especially using this multi-layer plastic like noodle packet, which is bad boy within the recycling scene because it's thin layers, plastic and aluminum and different types. But we learned that it's actually not technologies out there. It's about the recipe and the techniques and tips. So we try to capture everything in this document. So it will be, if not 100%, it will be replicable. We're quite happy and we're sure that it will be replicable in different regions around the world.
Yeah, I mean, I think your mention of the aluminium foil wrapping and multiple layers of wrapping, I think that's a really big mountain to climb.
And also this one is a LDPE, it's a shopper bags. This one is, technology is there, but because it's so lightweight and it's flimsy and also it's often contaminated, but by using a very, very simple technique of a t-shirt press, we can turn this into this sheet and then now repairing the holes in the tin roof. And this is how you can adapt. We can adapt the usage, and we can still use different types of plastics in different regions.
Yeah, and if you have any problem while replicating this, we can mentor as well.
There's two. And one more, I think. No?
Oops. I'll just speak the last question. Congratulations on the project. Fantastic. Using Steve's analogy of the mountain, you scaled the mountain. What I was really interested in was the two organisations. What's your learnings of how you're going to take these technologies and scale it into sustainable business items? Because I think that it's really, really exciting. It's really interesting technologies. But I think one of your colleagues was talking about how you sustain that as an organisation. So what would you say your key learnings are, and what would be your key items that you feel now will be the ones to take forward on a scalable process?
So Simon, thank you so much for coming, first of all. And he's my big daddy, like since my design school time. And your question is about scaling up the technology and the product applications in a meaningful amount.
So you've learned all this. You scale the mountain.
Yeah, scale the mountain.
Scale the mountain. I'm using the metaphor. You've gained learning. You've communities, but to sustain the organisations, what have they learned? What items are they said, right now? We've got this capability. We're going to scale these, like the building products, those things, so they can sustain themselves.
Okay, I think in terms of products, he can answer it because he's the Clean Upcycler is the leading company who's most promising in Nepal in that business sense. But from our project perspective, when it comes to scaling, we have two different categorization: scaling up in terms of the quality and the quantity, scaling out in terms of number. And because it's so isolated, our approach became scaling out into many different small scale, so it's called distributed manufacturing. So that by having more and more units and hubs across the country, that was our approach in terms of the like a meso level intervention. But when it comes to products, you can tell us more.
So right now, in terms of product, the bread and butter for cleaned upcyclers right now is the furnitures itself. But along this journey, what I learned is like some certain products can be sold at certain places. They will sell good, but in certain places they won't. So the key learning from this journey was decentralized waste management with hyperlocal products. So currently Cleanit has 3 facilities, one in Kathmandu where we are mainly doing the furnitures and these decking planks. Then we have one in Pokhara where we are planning to do mainly souvenirs. So furnitures won't sell there, but the souvenirs will go like hotcakes, and we are working with Sustainable Design Studio to prototype some of our products that you can see over there. So some new products. And then in Dang is like where development is not much. So it isn't that developed, and they are recently developing in a rapid pace. So while they're developing in a rapid pace, we want to remind them that you should also focus on sustainable development. So with that, we are introducing the interlocking bricks there, and they sell good there. So in each regions, we have partnered with different private organizations, recycling companies as well, and government to sell our products in a very different way. So even I don't know like how they are marketing the products in Pokhara or Dang right now. But in each region it's different. So when we are looking to scale up from now on, we'll focus on what sells in that locality. So it's not about the global perspective, but it's more about the hyperlocal, what the local wants. So that is our way forward for now.
I don't know if you hear me. So thank you so much for the wonderful event. I've been a huge fan of the project, and I've known Curie for many years, and how this has developed. I can see some of the things we discussed have developed here. So very, very impressed. And one of the things I'm interested in is following up on the scale up, is the impact on kind of the economy. Going back to the mountain things, you push this big rock, you all together push this big rock on the top of the mountain. Hopefully now the the rock will roll down by itself. And so, in just to add some of the perspectives that others brought, other companies are trying to emulate you. Is there an opportunity for more people to kind of learn the trade? Because I remember, maybe I'm wrong, but you said about 100 people now work in this business. So how many more you think will be employed when you maybe scale up? Is it is there a training for or an interest from others to kind of knock at your door and say, teach me, or by themselves without you to have to do any more pushing up of the rock on the mountain? And I have, before you answer this, I have one more thing to offer, which is related things, just to say that there are some funds for some follow-ups in terms of exchanges. And there is a project I am part of, is a European-funded project called SMARTS that supports exchanges and potentially opportunities, for example, for the colleague was saying about mapping the buildings. So some sort of other kind of spin-off of this project could be enabled. So if you're interested in any of this spin-off, I'll circulate the information. Sorry for doing a little bit of publicity, but because I have this opportunity, it's very hard to actually let people know it exists. So for this. Thank you.
Thank you, Leticia, for the great question and being our great fan. And the Makeathon idea, that was actually started from the project I worked with her before this project to create more sustainable food systems in Europe, and that's followed on, and we have done 28 Makeathons so far, and this is one of it. And to answer the first question, how many people will be being employed or being to join the journey? Maybe you can ask. I can ask you, how many more will you employ in your business?
So currently, as I said, we only have 3 facilities as of right now. But if you ask me about our plan for next 5 years, in next 5 years we are planning to go. We are hoping to go pan Nepal. So revenue-wise, we are doubling every year. So that will enable us to get to that idea. So if we were to get pan Nepal, that will create a lot of green jobs, I hope.
And when we started the project 4 years ago, when we visit the villages and show these things like to the villagers, and wow, this is possible. And that was really, really delightful moments that they say, oh, actually, we can do something about this too, because it's been just trouble. They didn't know that can happen. But over the time, P2G and the Impact Hub Kathmandu, who is the core, our implementation partner in Nepal, now becoming the brand that's leading the plastic innovation in Nepal. So whenever this type of project comes, and they come in our Fab Lab in Nepal, Fab Lab Nepal became the makerspace, became the hub for the R&D of plastic, because we got the machines there. So new projects coming in from EU, from elsewhere, and they are now doing more projects about circularity. Impact Hub is leading more projects related to it, and they become more confident about it. And even without me being there anymore, I believe I can see that it's actually turning out more and more, incubating more individuals and companies in Nepal.
Sam, this is the last question, and I'm going to embarrass you before the question starts. If there's ever going to be a mountain metaphor question, it comes from somebody who's been up to 8,840. Those of you who know their numbers, you know where that is.
Thank you, Steve. Yeah, it's quite a long time ago now. Actually, 2008 that I was on the top of Everest, and still a very, very powerful memory, of course. And I've had the great fortune to spend a lot of time in Nepal. I've probably spent well over a year on multiple different trips, climbing mountains, trekking, And I wish I'd been involved actually in doing some projects like this. Well done. I mean, it's just amazing. Fantastic. Well done to everybody. It takes a lot, you know. And having spent time in the mountain regions, I can imagine just how hard it is to get these things off the ground. You know, there is not much technology there. There's not many skill sets. You know, it's remarkable. So that's, yeah, really well done. My question is around, you spent 4 years building this, and that's, you know, that's a huge commitment. And my question is, does it need 4 years doing this? If we want to, say, go out to the west of Nepal now and do this again in the west of Nepal, would it be another 4 years to build it there? Or if you went to the Philippines, would it take 4 years to get this off the ground? Or can you now fast track this based on your experience? I'm just wondering how much it means getting community engagement versus, you know, knowledge, know-how, technologies.
Yes, with the documents we can do it faster because you don't need to repeat the same mistakes that I made. But also at the same time, you know it really well in Nepal that there's a rainy season and the dry season, and during the rainy season you cannot travel because of landslides. Like the road connections are very difficult, so you just have to stop and wait until the road is repaired. And then about September, that the rain stops, and then you can start starting to do something. And then there's a 1 month holiday, so that every whole country stops because they have to go home and celebrate. And then November, December, okay, now it's dry, but it's getting cold, so I think we should stay put. And then the spring comes, and then there's a short window of March, April. That's when you want to go trekking, right? And then you can do something, and the rain starts again from May. So that there are a lot of patience and waits. It's just because there's so much we can do. Like in front of the magnificent mountains in front of you, there's so much we can do. Just wait. So that's why we thought that it's really lucky that it starts from 2-year project, now 4 years extended, because it had to spread out. And that was lucky time for us that we could actually do something we wanted to do. But in other countries, if there isn't so much landslides and accidents like that, also not only landslides, but also if there's a political issues and strikes happen, and then just all of a sudden, whole country stops. They shut down the office and schools and the shops and roads, and then you can't do anything. You just wait and just have tea. And that's how it became 4 years. But I think, yes, we can expedite in other countries. I'd love to. I've been Korean. We want to be quick.
So I want to add on to that one as well.
Please.
So one thing is, it depends upon who are you going to work with. Because if it is a community, then you have to think from the start about upskilling. And also, if the community has known about some of the jargons, as well as they do know about some basic things, then the progress can be faster. And there's other unforeseen things, such as importation. If you want to have, there is terrain. So those are the parameters that is dependent upon different countries. So country like ours, a landlocked country, while having machines from outside, it might be challenging due to the policies, due to the different regulations, and the terrain as well. So I can't just say that it can be made faster in different place, but it depends upon the community and the place that you want to implement this. So it has to be, that parameters has to be thought through carefully, and also the people that also the community that you are going to work with. So that is the key areas that you have to think through if you think about the timeline as well. So yeah, so if we are working with the same type of community and same ecosystem, then obviously it can be faster.
I have something to add as well, regarding our experience with establishing Paramendo in RE. The timeline could be much faster if the technical knowledge, since community people were behind the technical knowledge, and we also needed to understand the actual need of the community and actual problem of the community. And I feel like each community or each place has their own kind of problems that they want to solve, and that will take time, and that will take a lot of effort from our side and from their side to come together to a common ground and try to build something. That is what Curie and I and all of us, the team, we did for last 4 years. So I think that takes time, and we should not rush to that process. So even though with the documents, I feel like it's going to take at least 2 years or something like that to just create that rapport and come to recognize the problem and solve it. Just one of the beautiful example that Q just showed was the tin roof, which was covered with the recycled plastics, right? So for that, we I think works hard to understand the problem. What is the problem, and how can the existing waste opportunities can actually solve that problem. So that took some time, and we worked on it, and that was just one example of one community. So I think community has their own problems, and that needs time for identification. Thank you.
Thank you, Rahul. I think there's a reference there to what Milan was calling hyperlocality, and I think there is some parts of this process you can't rush. But I do think you can do things faster with learning, because we did take some pathways, and yeah, I think there is much more speed available, but it's not something that's going to be done in 1 year rather than 4 years from here. And as a scholar, I'm really interested. I want to read the paper that says weather-related product development cadence. I've never read that, and I want to read it now. Right? How to design a product according to the seasons would be a fabulous thing to read. I think we're at the end of this part. So, from Nepal, if you feel like going off for some dal bhat, feel free. Thank you very much, both. And you can also stay and watch the next phase if you're not so hungry. Of course, it's later in Nepal, by some really magical time difference, which I never ever remember. 45 minutes. 4 hours and 45 minutes, right? Come on. We are now going to, I would ask you to please say thank you to the panelists. We are going to be around. You can come and ask us questions, but we're now going to go to the fun part. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Now we're moving on to the lighter and the fun, exciting part of the last program of the day, the auction of the product. And please let me introduce Ian Bamford, our innovation advisor for the project. And I call him a jar of saffron because he's so precious, and I need to, whenever I need some advice, and I know I can go to him, but I can't use him so much. I need to be very careful and precious about using him. But please, thank you so much for being the most precious jar of saffron for me for the project. Yeah. And the floor is yours. Please welcome him on stage.
Thank you very much. You may ask, why did he get asked to do the auction part here? And there's a very good reason. I'm an expert in auctioning things from Nepal. Before I came to Cambridge, my next door neighbour ran a fairly large business, and his charitable part of his business was supporting Nepalese schools. And so on a regular basis, he would bring things back from Nepal and auction them at our local village hall. And that was frequently my job. So I should be familiar with this. I think I've never had this range of things to auction in the past. Clearly, we are very fortunate to have things that are both modern and reborn. So this is an opportunity. We have a background of what? We have a video to show. Oh, okay, I should shut up and let the video run.
So I have some videos to back up and to add the stories. Can you play this? This is how we collected in the village. Oh! little kids, we've been collecting all this waste from the village. And the next. Hey. This is our hub in the village. So we're processing our rubbish.
We have a furnace right there.
And this is how we make the lumber. And this is how we built our bench here. Voila. And let me show you some of the coffee tables. And this is how we made the boards in Nepal. And the boards, and this is a flat pack coffee table you can take home today. And this is the photos that you've seen, the 8 photos outside the corridor, and as well as these 2 beautiful photos are framed in our plastic, recycled plastic all the way from Nepal. Clean Upcyclers is the one who produced all these frames. And this photo was taken by our 2 talented artists, one Zain Huang, a Singaporean filmmaker. He must be watching us from YouTube. And Zain Huang and Yong Yun Gong, they came to Nepal last December and they shoot the documentary with us. And while they are doing it, they also took some photos. And this is how we came up with these 2 photos. And this is how they made the lumbers into actionable frames, and they shipped it and IFM, and they remade it. Also, the framer in Cambridge, he could made this like a rather industrial level of lumbers into beautiful frame. They were so pleased. And these are some photos in the big frame. And if you haven't seen the photos outside, this is. Can you turn off the first light, like in number 4? Here you can see that from the drone, we could capture. This is the Reef Village in front of Cavendish, 7,429 meters high only. And this is one of the houses in the hut in the village that's very common to be made by with the tin sheets. Like it's only like a 0.6 millimeter thickness between the outside and inside. This is how you sleep. And this is a kind of unusual way to go to school. The little kids in the village. And this little boy at the ritual at the Pashupatinath, where all the bodies are cremated. And this is one of the, it's called Patan Darbar Square. It's one of the palaces in Kathmandu. Rory, you were staying nearby, right? Yes, beautiful. And this is one of the waste workers having a break in front of the mountains. And another shot, the Reef Village, like literally the living by the edge of the clouds. And the mountain again. Yeah, that's it. So yeah, give it back to you.
Thank you. So now you have the authentication of things that are here. You've seen where and how they were made. If I can describe them a little bit, I think the opportunity to have a bench that actually is mostly to be found on the trail to base camp at Mount Everest is a pretty unique opportunity. I can say with great confidence that this is the only one, not only in Cambridge or in the UK or in Europe or probably anywhere else outside of Nepal. So the opportunity to have this in your garden, I think, would be quite unique. With all of these pieces, but with this in particular, this is an opportunity to own what will become a family heirloom. This is robust. This will not be giving way. It will not fall apart, slowly rot like the other benches I have scattered around my gardens. You can be sure that this will be there to hand on to your next generation, and they will be amazed and fascinated as children and then as adults to have something which says that it's all the way from Mount Everest. So not only do you have something that you know has that heritage, but you will give that little story, that little kernel of idea to your children and your friends. And who knows where that will take them. So this is the first item that I would like to auction. You can buy recycled plastic benches in the UK. I had a look online. I wanted to check what sort of value we should put on something like this. To buy one that was simply made in a large recycling plant in the UK and then transported by lorry from somewhere in the West Midlands would cost you about just under £800, which is not an insignificant amount, but it is something that would last. So I'd like to start the bidding on this at £600, an absolute bargain compared to what you might otherwise be able to buy that has none of that heritage, none of that value, none of that uniqueness that you've seen and heard about today. So, is anyone ready to start me and make me an offer at £600? Come on, you don't even have to have the cash. You can go away after this and put it on an account. Sorry? You might have. No, I think, look, you saw it with cushions earlier on. I think, I can see this in your living room. It's in my living room.
So where is the money going to?
So the money for this is going back to the entrepreneurs who have been doing the work so far to help them expand and build their businesses. So that's what we're trying to raise the money for. Thank you for asking, because I should have explained that. It's not actually just going to me.
Yes, the money will be directly being used to buy more machines and molds from Sustainable Design Studio. Actually, so it will be within the UK, but I will be helping the companies in Nepal. Yes.
I have a first bid at 600. Anyone like to raise to 620? They're not a great auction crowd. It's not quite how this auction thing works. Perhaps I should explain it more effectively. 500. No. I think we all saw the initial agreement. Okay. I don't have a gavel. Thank you. 620. So, someone's got the idea. 640. I've got 620, 640. Come on, you're supposed to get excited about this. Where did we start? About 1,000 is where I'm thinking.
I mean, I happily go to 640, but I'm not going to fight. Look,
660. There we go.
Money.
660.
I'm an academic.
Oh, I've heard that story before. You should see his car.
My children don't eat. Okay.
Can I add something? Not money, I mean actually.
Only money.
This, in terms of like the prospect of what this could raise, in terms of the opportunity that will develop in Nepal. So having been there with Milan and inspired by his work, I think the reality is one of the things we do is we help people with very little investment achieve great things. And Milan has presented to me so many amazing ideas that I genuinely think they will be some of the best projects in the world that could come from recycled waste. His ideas are pioneering, and realistically, we can do a lot with 600, but we can do a lot more with 1,000. And I genuinely think when we talk about those jobs that we're talking about, Milan has the entrepreneurial spirit to turn that £1,000 into a huge amount of long-term investment that can genuinely clean up Everest. So I think we're in the room with the person that can do it, and the funds are also stopping him.
Oh. Who else is likely to come in at this point? 660. Sorry, was that? You shouldn't scratch your nose in that way at this point, Mark.
That's it. I don't have a garden. I don't have a big initiative now.
Okay. 660. I think we're there. Very good. Thank you. 660. So, the next things I'd like to come on to are the pictures. See the pictures on the table? I can't remember now. We'll do the pictures because I'd like to do the pictures next. So these are, as you saw, the I don't know which is which. Which was photographed by the director of the film? This one. Okay. This is the cool one that I can imagine having in my studio. I like the gradation of dark and the background, the way that you're going to lift it up between us. It's really heavy. No, it's not really. I can lift it on my own. It's just one thing. It's not best on the other one. You've left us stuck here, Kiri. Now we have. Thank you. Heart So this is rather a unique picture, rather a beautiful landscape. I like the fact that it's both slightly industrial, slightly urban, whilst also being on the top of the world. Set off by the recycled and very beautifully finished. I saw this when it first arrived, and it has been very beautifully finished. Recycled Nepali plastic frame. I'd like to start the bidding on this at £230. I recently had some of my, thank you, I already have it, £230. I don't have to carry on with my spiel. Shut up and let me bid. £230. Who else is going to put a bid in for this? 230. I said I really like it. Am I allowed to bid? No, obviously not. That was oh, thank you. 250. Yeah. 270. 270. It's all in the same row. It's excellent. This is very easy. Or maybe I'm missing other people.
280.
280, someone said.
300.
300. 300. 300. 300. Okay, sold. 300. So that's the call not going into my studio. This is really quite an epic picture. I'm going to get it. No, I'm not bidding for that. It's my wife who's not bidding for it, just to make it clear as to why I'm so sure about that. The mountains are, someone tell me what they are, because you've say that again.
Cavendish Himal.
Thank you. So behind the village.
Yes.
Yes. Again, a very beautiful frame. A really piece that you would have as a centre in a part of your home, I'm sure. I'd like to start the bidding on this at 250. So, in order to imagine this, imagine it. It's going to be there. Everyone that comes into your house is going to be captivated and ask you why. Why and where did you get such a magnificent piece of art? So I think for those conversations alone, £250 is nothing. You spend that on a decent dinner. So who would like to give up a dinner and buy a very magnificent piece of unique art that also is reflecting the work done to change the world? Who wants to give this a new beginning? Nobody? No? Okay. I'm going to say no, no takers. Thank you, sir. You're going to have a pair. Anyone else like to participate in this supposed auction?
Can I add that it's a real bargain, Simon? Thank you for bidding for this. Only the frame, we spent £1,800. So that it's such a big bargain. You
You'll always remind me of you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Yes, thank you.
Finally, this is a small occasional or coffee table. Rather beautiful, very different in style and colour to everything else that we've seen so far. I'm going to try and encourage more people to participate. So,
Start lower the bidding.
That's a good idea. If you went into IKEA and you wanted a small occasional table like this, what do you think you'd pay? £60? So let's start this off at an IKEA price. £60. Who would like to start the bidding at £60? Thank you. 65. I'm going to go very small increments here to encourage more people to participate. 65. 65. 65. 62. I've done this before. 62 and a half. No.
80.
80. 80. Okay, wow. That's a bit more competitive. 80.
Only because I would like to buy something else, but so I want to encourage
I'm
this.
not sure you've quite understood the idea of auctions. Bid for the other thing. So, 80. We've bid 80. 85? 85. Thank you. 85. 90. 90. 90. Did I see 90?
£55.64.
I'm sorry, but there is a way in which auctions work, and you can't choose the amount you raise the increment by. I can offer you, if you can't manage to go to 90, we can do 87.50.
87.50.
There we go. 87.50. Anyone like to go to 90? We almost got into an auction. Almost. It was so good. No? 90? 90? 87.50 it is. Thank you. I would remind you that there are other things, I believe, that can be purchased or may have already been purchased while you were here before we started.
Excuse me. can I ask if the left side of the phone stand is still available?
Left side. Your left. Is it still available?
Yes, it is.
£85. Okay. So there we are. If I remember rightly, that particular profile is that particular amount. Yes.
Then
Sell some of the other ones with a stupid amount of money too.
Okay. I don't think it's a stupid amount of money. I think it's a very good amount of money. So I'll change this auction idea on its head. If you'd like to buy something that's on the table, then make an offer. £20 for a flower pot? Absolutely. Anyone else like to pay £20 for a flower pot? Yeah, I'll get two. So that's not two for £20, but £40. Another one. Okay, I think we've sold all the flower pots. We've got more. Oh, I think there's one more. Obviously, this is the last flower pot available. So I'm going to start at £25. No. £20 for the last flower pot. It's such a shame. I'll have it. So, yes, you've sold it to me. Thank you. I think you should hold up these rather delightful toys. Some of you, I'm sure, have children and grandchildren. Would you like to explain?
Yeah, these are the endangered animals, and obviously the yeti in Nepal, and the pigeon, and the turtle, and tiger, and elephants, and lesser panda, the red panda, and snow leopard, and believe it or not, still a tiger, and and the rhinoceros. They are all endangered animals in Nepal, and filled with recycled plastic. We use a polyflush machine, and there's fluffy machine that's filled with it, and the young local female artisan hand crochet everything. And yes, starting price £10.
Well, the idea is we let them set the
Ah,
price.
okay.
I'll take a pigeon for £10.
A pigeon for £10, thank you.
Thank you.
I'd like someone to take all the pigeons from my garden, and I'd happily pay £10, but I don't think that's allowed. Any other people with children they'd like to entrance? I rather like the fox. So, yes. You'll buy the fox. Excellent.
£10.
Do you remember what you bought? Because we won't. I'm always writing this down. So,
There.
Thank you.
Elephants, rhinoceros, tiger, a yeti, a turtle, rhinoceros. Okay, thank you. Turtle. There we go.
There we go. Yeti.
Yeti. Thank you. And we have another tiger, and the elephant is quite well crafted, and the snow leopard from the mountain.
Okay, I think at this point.
Snow leopard. Thank you. And two tigers and one elephant.
No one leaves until it's sold the animal.
Elephants, yes. Thank you.
I'll take a tiger. It's my lucky charm. The year of the horse.
Ah, right.
That one.
This one. Okay. Right. Thank you. We have only two left. The panda. Okay. Great.
There you go. Someone has to look after this poor orphaned.
The yellow thing. Thank you so much. Thank you. Do you want to do?
I don't know. Would anyone else like to carry on?
With phone stands from Ree, or we have.
No, I think we've reached the end. Thank
Okay.
you all.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
For your generosity and for staying on and listening to me blabber on for a while. I'll hand back to Kiri to formally close things. Are you ready?
I lost my note.
You lost your notes. I think I've got a spare set. There we go.
Okay. Thank you so much. It's been fun. When I was preparing this morning, getting myself ready, felt like getting ready for a wedding or something. You know, this day will come. You know that day will come, but you don't know how and when and who is going to join. But it was such a weird feeling. Like, oh, we started this journey 4 years ago, and I'm thinking that there will be an ending, and there will be. You know, we will talk about this, and I don't know. I didn't really know that back then. This Ray Dolby Auditorium was here because it was only built last year, and we had no idea that we will be presenting our documentary, and we'll be presenting it all the way. And I didn't imagine that Simon will be joining, coming from all the way from Manchester too. And the documentary, just a bit of documentary, it was rather, we wanted to capture this all the like amazing stories and images and the videos, and I just wanted to make it into something small, but I didn't really realize that we can make it into documentary. I think my late father, who was a filmmaker, he must be really happy in watching me. Do you make your film now? And that's how we can continue dreaming, realizing our dreams wherever, and we will learn by doing on the way. And thank you very much again for joining our journey together and for believing in our localized circular platform. If this platform can flourish in the heart of Himalaya, it can flourish anywhere. And we want to wish that we can let this cycle of local empowerment to continue. Thank you so much. Thank you.